In this video, we're going to learn how to use the distributive property to multiply polynomials and learn how to multiply polynomials horizontally. So we're first going to learn how to use the distributive property to multiply monomials and polynomials. So you're going to take the monomial and put it on the outside, and then using the distributive property, we'll multiply that number on the outside by each of the inside terms, or the terms inside the parentheses. So in this example, we would distribute negative 4x cubed to each of those inside terms. And when we do this, we can use our exponent rule to help us figure out what the product should be. So if we have the same base, when multiplying two exponents, we can keep the base the same and then add the exponents. So if we think about x to the third power multiplied by x to the second power, that's really x to the third power is x multiplied by itself 3 times. And then x to the second power is x multiplied by itself twice. So when we look at that product, we're taking x and multiplying it by itself 5 times. So it's x to the fifth power. So the trick, instead of multiplying it out every single time, is that you're going to keep the base the same and add your exponents. So to multiply each of these terms, I'm going to multiply the coefficients, and then as long as the variables are the same base, I can use my exponent rule where I just add up the exponents. So negative 4 times 1 is going to give me negative 4, and then x to the third power times x to the second power, 3 plus 2 is 5, so I get negative 4x to the fifth power. For the next one, negative 4 times 3 is negative 12, x to the third power times x to the first power, right, because it's just an x, so that's x to the first power. That adds up together, so that gives me x to the fourth power. So I get negative 12 x to the fourth power. For this last one, negative 4 times negative 4 will give me a positive 16. Then I have x to the third power, and there's no x written there, so that's going to be x to the 0 power. Anything to the 0 power is just 1. So I'm going to just end up with 3 plus 0. That's just going to give me 3, so I have 16x to the third power. And then again, whenever we're writing our final answers from now on, which should be in standard form, which means that the highest degree is first, and then it should be descending from there. Find the product of these 3 problems. You can use the steps that are written above. To find the product of each of these, remember that you're going to be multiplying your coefficients and then using your exponent rules. So when we multiply the coefficients, just remember your rules for positive and negative numbers. So anytime you have the same sign, like 2 negatives or 2 positives, it will create a positive product. Anytime you have different signs, like a negative times a positive or a positive times a negative, you'll get a negative product. Then when we use our exponent rules, we are only able to add the exponents if our base or our variables are the same. So for this last problem, problem C, because we have an x squared and a y that we're multiplying together, those are not the same variables, they're not the same basis, so I can't use the rule where I add up the exponents. So then I would just write out the product for that first term as 12x squared y. I'm writing it in alphabetical order, so the x squared comes first and then the y. For the next 2 terms, because we don't have different variables, we can just use the rule that we learned in step 2, where we keep this variable the same, we keep that y, and then we just add the exponents. Now we're going to learn how to use the distributive property to multiply polynomials. We'll first model this with just 2 binomials. If we have this example here, we would distribute each term in the first binomial to each term in the second binomial. So the first binomial would be 2x plus 4. I'm taking that 2x and I'm distributing it to the second binomial, x minus 5. Then I take the second term in that first binomial, which is that plus 4, and I'm distributing it again to that second binomial, x minus 5. We'll end up getting 2x times x plus 2x times negative 5 plus 4x plus 4 times negative 5. Now we have like terms we have to combine, right? Because we have negative 10x plus 4x. That can simplify. And then we end up with our final answer written in standard form, 2x squared minus 6x minus 20. That is going to be the product of those 2 binomials. So I'm going to walk through these next 2 problems together. I'm taking this first term of my first binomial, that's 5x. I'm going to multiply that by my second binomial, 2x plus 1. Then I take the second term of the first binomial, negative 4, multiplying it by my second binomial, that's 2x plus 1. Using my distributive property, making sure to remember that a negative times a positive is going to be negative. Once I combine my like terms, my final answer would be 10x squared minus 3x minus 4. For the next problem, using my first term of my first binomial, that's 3x, then I'm going to multiply that by my second binomial, 2x plus 4. Then I need to take the second term of my first binomial, negative 5, multiply it by my second binomial, 2x plus 4. Using the distributive property, I get this, and then I need to combine my like terms, so 12x minus 10x is going to simplify just to 2x. So my final answer should be 6x squared plus 2x minus 20. I'm going to walk through these next 4 examples. I would encourage you to pause the video and try to work it out first and then check your answers. In example 1, my first binomial is x plus 3, so I'm going to take that first term x and multiply it by my second binomial, x plus 2. Taking the second term of my first binomial, 3, I'm multiplying that by x plus 2. Using my distributive property, I then get this next row. After that, I have to be sure to combine like terms, so then 2x plus 3x is going to simplify just to be 5x. So my final answer should be x squared plus 5x plus 6. For this next problem, my first binomial is y plus 4. My second binomial is y minus 5. So I'll take my first term in my first binomial, that's y, and multiply it by my second binomial, y minus 5. Then I take my second term in my first binomial, 4, and multiply it again by my second binomial, y minus 5. When I multiply this out, I get this. And then again, just being sure to combine like terms. If I have negative 5y plus 4y, I'm going to get negative 1y, or just negative y. So my final answer would be y squared minus y minus 20. On to example 3. The first binomial is a plus 5, so I take that first term a and multiply it by the second binomial, a plus 3. Then I take the second term 5 and multiply it by the second binomial, a plus 3. Using my distributive property, I get that. And then from there, I have to combine like terms and simplify to get my final answer written in standard form. So example 4 is a little different because now it's a binomial multiplied by a trinomial, but the process is still the same. I'm going to take that first term in my binomial, p, and multiply it by my entire trinomial, p squared plus 4p minus 1. Then I take the second term in my binomial, 2, and multiply it by my entire trinomial again, p squared plus 4p minus 1. Then from there, I use my distributive property, and then now I have 2 sets of like terms that I'll have to combine instead of just 1. This is what I get as my final answer. Make sure that your answer is in standard form, which means the highest degree is going to be written first, and then it should be in descending order.